This is Breaking Down Security, and I am Brian Brake. Welcome back, listener. This is Brian and Miss Berlin, and Mr. Boettcher's not here this week, but it's us for Breaking Down Security.
Hello.
Hey. So,
hey, I'm back.
Are your arms tired? No, I'm just kidding.
Yes.
That's an old joke. So you were in New Zealand.
Yes.
It was awful, wasn't it?
It was horrible. Terrible country, terrible people.
Yeah.
I love, Midwest America so much.
That's dripping with sarcasm, people. If you saw her Facebook posts, you could tell she had a hell of a time. She had a hell of a time. So for people who haven't been listening, what were you doing down there?
I gave a plenary talk at B-Sides Wellington, and another talk the next day at B-Sides Wellington.
Mm-hmm.
It was their first B-Sides, and
fantastic.
They did a fantastic job.
Wait, so it was their first B-Sides, and they asked you to come down because it's Berlining down security, obviously.
It is. That's how they heard about it.
Mr. Brake, obviously. I couldn't have made it anyway. That's fine that they didn't invite me. I don't need to go down to spend time in New Zealand. It's fine.
They actually invited me because of the keynote I gave at B-Sides Nashville about mental health and InfoSec.
Oh, fantastic. Okay.
Yeah. So I kind of updated that one and added a bunch of stuff to it and gave that one on Thursday of the conference.
So how many people were there?
Oh, I think he said like 700.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They had to cap attendance.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, you don't want the fire marshals shutting you down, I guess. So,
they had fantastic. 2 tracks, and it was very difficult in the venue when they let out because it was the same hallway. And yeah, it was packed.
So it was like Black Hat is what you're saying in the hallways.
Yeah, it was like a mini Black Hat.
Yeah, mini Black Hat. That's fantastic. So the first year they got 700 people. That's nice.
Yeah, and an amazingly diverse set of talks and people.
Yeah. Like
I was just, they had a bunch of talks on other stuff that we need to worry about. Not that it's kind of non-technical.
Like what?
So the keynote was about better communication.
Right. Like in general or?
Yeah, I mean, in a business environment.
Right. Okay.
And I mean, all stuff that we all need to worry about, but isn't always talked about at cons.
Right. Yeah. I've always been a fan of those soft skill type discussions because it's something that, everybody assumes that they already know, but then you look at it and you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, yeah, I really don't know how to communicate effectively to people. And I guess that's something that really separates the doers from the manager types, and once you can get over that hurdle and understand your shortcomings and work through those, it makes it a lot easier for you to advance in your career, I think. So.
Right.
I'd like to remind the B-Sides Wellington people that I am also available for appearances. My wife would probably begrudgingly let me visit New Zealand without her, maybe, but I am available for appearances.
Yeah, I definitely need to go back next year. It was pretty fantastic. So I added, the conference was 2 days, Thursday and Friday. Mm-hmm. And then they had some stuff on Saturday and stuff on Wednesday. But I was there from Tuesday to Tuesday.
Nice.
And so I did some stuff on my own, which was pretty fantastic. I think it's the longest time I've been away from home by myself, no kids, nobody else, just me.
That's cool though. I saw some of your photos. You were out on a bridge or something. Was that a nature preserve or something?
Yeah, it was on Mount Elizabeth.
Mount Elizabeth.
I think it's called.
Okay.
I don't know.
Elizabeth. I went out to Mount Sunday, which was literally out in the middle of nowhere, and that's where they.
No, this was like right at the top of the cable car.
Oh! You took a funicular then.
Yeah, it was Zealandia was the name of the preserve, and what they did was, so I guess New Zealand never had any mammals until like humans brought mammals over.
Right.
So what they wanted to do was make this nature preserve like mammal free, like back to the way New Zealand was. So they put up this gigantic metal Jurassic Park looking fence. It's crazy looking. Like one of the pictures shows it. Like this fence is like
okay.
super aggressive.
Yeah.
And they made it so like animals can't climb over it or burrow under it, and they like kill all the mammals on the inside.
Oh my.
As best as they can.
Okay.
And it was pretty neat.
Yeah.
And I went and swam with dolphins in the ocean.
Wow, that sounds really nice.
Yeah.
Wish I could
one of them tried to not me.
Somebody else?
A girl that we were swimming with tried to get very friendly with.
Oh my. That's unfortunate. Okay. Well, and that was
I wasn't that lucky.
What?
Wait, no. Scratch that.
Yeah.
Take that out in post.
Yeah, we won't we'll edit that bit out. So So I'm glad you had a great time. It 700 people. How do you pull that? That's incredible. Is it just?
And they were fantastic. Just the organizers did a great job. They had some help from the people that ran KiwiCon, because KiwiCon didn't happen this year.
Oh, is that why? Okay.
That's not why.
No,
they just like.
No, I mean that's why they went so smoothly. They had.
They had some help, and I think probably the people that normally go to KiwiCon went to that instead.
Right.
Okay. And the speaker green room was on a boat, which was pretty fantastic.
Okay.
Like a yacht looking thing.
Right on. And you said you got some audio, so maybe in the next few weeks we'll get some audio and out like we did with DerbyCon and those. So.
Yep, I got audio from one of the organizers, Chris Blunt, and then Ben Hughes, which was another speaker, and then Ollie, who was another speaker, and he actually got an award for being, I don't know, some kind of awesome speaker person.
Right. Okay.
I can't remember what award he got.
That's cool. All right. Well, yeah. So look forward to that in the next few weeks. We got the audio available, and we'll post that up. So. So I did a show last week. I don't know. You obviously listened to it because it changed your life, right?
Totally. It helped me fall asleep on the plane on the way back. Oh.
You're saying you said all of that except for the sleeping part, which I believe. All in the same tone as when you said you didn't like going to New Zealand. So that was hurtful. So I did that show on custom training, and I had a couple of people write back and go, yeah, that was exactly what I needed to hear.
Good.
Some really positive feedback about the custom training stuff. So you do a lot of custom training. You do training for O'Reilly, but have you ever had to create training for your own company?
Yeah, a couple different places I've had to. I haven't been where I'm at long enough, I think, to be qualified enough to make some training. But let's see here. When I was at Hurricane, I did some training to some of our customers on Splunk, and their business use cases on it.
Right.
And then I did some general training at the hospital I was at on like security things to be aware of, how to make strong passwords, what not to do to like release HIPAA data, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and that's what I was telling people on the show, that our LMS system was very vanilla type training. It obviously didn't fit a lot of our own internal culture, so I started making the training of several topics to help with making sure that the training translated to what works in our environment. Because if you've got you've got scenarios that don't exactly fit our environment, that training kind of goes out the window. It's not as effective, and people get bored and such. So, when you can have people inside creating custom training and do so, that makes it, gives it that personal touch. It's not polished. There's going to be some mistakes, which is cool.
You can make references to stuff that is in your environment that they'll relate to, and
yep.
Yeah, you don't have to sound just like a a super vanilla, I'm reading off of cards.
Exactly. Like you're reading from the script. I tried not to do a script on ours. I had a general idea, kind of like how I do podcasts. And that's how I did it with the training. I had an agenda. I had some points that I wanted to hit, and I had to do it in 7 minutes. So I created like 5 slides, and the first one was like the presentation, and then the last one was like where to contact people for more information, or your internal sites, your wikis, your intranet pages, and then it had like 3 to 4 slides worth of actual content, and funny meme pictures of
right.
So people got to laugh at the same time. So
things that you would never be able to buy from a company.
Exactly. Yeah.
And usually when I create my stuff, I've started to write it all out of everything that I'm saying, as if I was saying it.
Yeah.
Like I don't make it as if somebody was going to sit down and read it. I write it like I'm going to talk about it, until I come to something that's more of a story-based thing, and then I'll just like insert story about blah, and then I'll talk about that, freely.
Nice.
But it's helped me a lot, I think, to actually write things out more than I had been.
Right.
Because I was completely skipping topics.
Yeah.
Forgetting to mention certain things. And
yeah. My only thing is I think my trainings would be better if I had the ability to like edit. I tend to do things in one take.
Me too.
And so it's like, I go through about 5, and that's why I only keep them to like less than 10 minutes. Cause it's like, well, if I do 45 minutes, I'm like, oh, this is crap. I got to start over. Then I wasted 45 minutes. So if I do it 7 to 10 minutes, it fits with the attention span of most people in my company or any company. Right. And then I can always do another take if I feel like it wasn't very strong. So, yeah.
Yeah. I was on like, so a training that I've made some, like demos on, and so I don't have to do live demos anymore. I've started just recording them instead. Nice. But I want to do them as one take because I'm suck at video editing, and I just think it would be easier to start over again. Yep. I was up to like take 22.
Well, after that point, you
By
get
the
into
time I got everything right, I'm like, I'm just gonna have to learn how to do video editing if I can't get this right.
Yeah. And at that point, if you get inside your own head and you're like, well, okay, now I know I screwed it up, and it's kind of like we do the podcast. We don't do retakes. I don't think we've ever had to go, well, oh, this one sucked. Let's start out. Well, maybe we should start maybe keeping a more critical mind on that.
Yeah, you should start doing that.
Yeah. Okay, this one sucks. We'll start over. All right, 3, 2. No, I'm just kidding. But I think that's going to become more of a thing where people are going to be creating those trainings because
I hope so.
There are companies out there dedicated to making these trainings, but it costs a lot of money to get those companies to come in and do customized training. Whereas if you have a dedicated IT staff or IS staff, and that's something that that allows them to go above and beyond. We're an IT staff, we do this stuff, but we also create the training, so that actually gives you an additional bullet you can do for evals or what have you, or and it's a good networking tool, so you can get with developers and understand what they're doing and how they're doing their process, and you can ask questions. The ones I did with some of the developers, setting up like a microservice, for instance, was very conversational. So he's going through this and clicking on stuff, and I'm like, oh, and what happens if this doesn't work? And you're like, well, blah, 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 blah. So, I tried to ask dumb questions, or questions that stop laughing at me. Stop laughing.
Sorry.
Oh, that's hurtful. No, because I
thought you were going to say you tried to ask dumb questions so you would try and foreshadow what the user's going to ask.
Yes, that's it right there. We'll do
that. That's why I laughed,
we'll
because I thought you were being mean to users.
Yeah, no. No, I actually didn't know like setting up microservices. I had no idea how to do that in AWS. So I was asking questions because I was like, well, what happens if I do that and it breaks? So yeah, I was asking questions that I thought a user or myself might ask. So, but yeah, I got a lot of good out of that. And that was the first podcast I'd ever done without anybody. So that was a really weird one as well. We had JB, one of our friends over in Europe. He went to Sans Berlin and got some audio from the Sans Berlin, some attendees over there. He was taking some of that. He got Heather Mahalik. She's so freaking smart. I need to have her on. She's doing mobile pen testing and mobile app testing, which was fantastic. So we need to definitely have her on. in the future to talk about that and how you do those testings. So, Mr. Boettcher, of course, like I said, his wife is a little under the weather, so we're going to take care of the podcast without him tonight. So,
now we're starting the podcast.
Yes. We've actually been doing the podcast for about the last 15 minutes.
Okay, all right. This is all recorded then.
Yeah, we're recording this part. Yes.
Oh, okay, all right.
You want to start over? I mean,
no, I'm good.
Okay,
all
right, cool. So we've got a couple stories, and if you've been under a rock this week, you've heard of one of them. It has to do with a fruit company in Cupertino, California. But we're going to talk about the first one that actually both of these stories affected my company quite heavily from two different points of view. So I saw an article. My CISO sent us an article on our internal messaging system about a company called Expensify. And for those of you who know what Expensify is, and you're probably affected by this, but those of you who don't know what it is it allows people who travel a lot or keep finances to scan or keep track of expenses. Basically, Expensify does expenses and
receipts.
And receipts, yeah, and it's really helpful if you're traveling or you're a salesperson or you do a lot of travel and you're required to turn in a travel. What are those things? Travel.
Expense report?
Expense report. Yes. Thank you. I don't travel a lot on the company dime, obviously. So, somebody had tweeted out that they'd found this brand new, or they'd found this thing that called Smart Scan, and what it did was, you take a picture and it scans your receipt properly. And using AI, it detects using OCR, 95% accuracy, and then it will automatically submit your receipt. Well, somebody had found out that Expensify was actually using AWS's, Amazon's something called Mechanical Turk service, which is a human intelligence task service. And basically the thing is it allows you to do micropayments for menial tasks. Like I saw one when I was searching on there, somebody wanted you to use Google Maps to find all the tennis courts in a specific neighborhood in Boston, Massachusetts. And for that, they would pay you 10 cents. And, or other menial thing, like, take this list of things and put it in an organized way for them. And that was going to be like 3 cents. Well, what Expensify was doing was...
seem like a whole lot of money.
It isn't. And I actually read another story about Mechanical Turk, and I'll talk about what a Mechanical Turk is later on. But the average price for some of these jobs on there is less than 10 cents. So, I mean, it's like, you got to do a bunch of stuff to even...
I was going to say, I can't think of many things that I would... sense.
Yeah.
Oh. You froze a little bit.
Yeah, I froze a little bit too. So I'm going to turn my video off here. So what happened was Expensify was using this Mechanical Turk to get people to look at receipts that didn't scan properly and fix the lettering and all the wording in them so that they would, they could help train the AI for doing OCR. Obviously, some people had some issues with this.
I can see that.
Because I found some tweets where people were like saying, yes, I found some hotel receipts with people's names and information on it. I found boarding passes with flight information and barcodes and stuff that could be used to create other possible boarding passes, as we've seen in the past, where you're not supposed to throw your boarding pass away because it can be used for nefarious purposes. But some people said they even found medical receipts on this Amazon Mechanical Turk. I'm not sure if that's from Expensify itself or from another company, but even I was poking around on this Mechanical Turk and found other companies who were also analyzing receipts, which I found quite interesting. Apparently this is kind of a big thing. So the problem is obviously there's privacy issues involved, Yeah,
I wonder how many super famous or highly sensitive people use that as a service.
Yeah, Yeah. Or, I mean, people who, don't realize where a receipt that didn't get scanned properly is ending up going. I think they later said that was part of like a test bed, and it was only a handful of folks' receipts that were being done. I mean, whether it's 3 or 3,000, I don't think they should be doing that.
Right.
So what you got? Okay. So you said, how is this different from medical transcriptionists? This was a question you put in before the show. So
yeah.
The way I understood it was that these people, they do have some people who are, employees of the company, but, they wanted, I think, to test this brand new feature. And the way they spun it was this was a brand new feature that was being used in the cloud to test these things. Medical transcriptionists are usually full-time employees or bonded by a company to not divulge any information that they have from this, whereas the Amazon or the Mechanical Turk folks, it was just some rando off the street. I could have gone in and done some, receipt verification purposes for 3 cents if I wanted to. All the ones I found were from like grocery stores. There was a couple from like a restaurant or two. They didn't have anybody's name in it other than like the cashier or the server who was there.
Could you imagine someone having like scanned in one of the receipts that they did on the old like flatbed ka-chunk scanners, right? Yeah. So you would have all of their credit card information too.
That's right. Yeah. I saw some credit card information, but it was just last 4 on there, which is according to PCI is how they're supposed to do that on receipts.
Right.
But, there's just a lot of it, and Expensify is a worldwide organization, company. So, medical receipts are a no-no in the U.S. because of HIPAA requirements. You're not just supposed to pop those things on, you're supposed to keep those under wraps because that's person identifying and personal health information. But yeah, there's even some people over in Europe were saying there were GDPR violations because, if people had their names or addresses or anything on there, that's person identifying information that can't be, taken away or forgotten as easily. So, I'm really interested in understanding why they're doing that. But so back to my part of the story, my CISO was like, well, we got to look at this again and make sure that, we turn off, smart scan and whatever. The problem is our finance department wants us to use that capability. It was only the little add-on system where they were doing the analyzing because they want us to use that so that, one, it shows a picture of the receipt so that, you can verify that actually a physical receipt was generated and the person actually bought that, bottle of Crevassier, or if he's a salesperson, I don't know. They only drink the best. So, so we're like, well, we can't use the smart scan stuff anymore. And we're like, well, that's in our policy to use that because it shows proof. Otherwise, people could just pop anything they want on there and say, well, I had a receipt for this, but I lost it or whatever. So it's going to be kind of a problem, kind of a pain in the ass because, it's hard to reconcile that because that there's always a chance that they're going to send that stuff somewhere that we don't necessarily want them sending it.
Right.
So... it's also a good example of why you need to do periodic reviews of your third parties. Because they're...
Do you think anybody would have found that though? With a review?
I don't know.
I don't know how it was initially found. Like, did somebody just go on that Amazon Turk and be like, or that Mechanical Turk and be like, oh, I recognize this is from Expensify, or did maybe somebody ask one of their salespeople?
Yeah.
Like, okay, what you guys say you're 95% accurate. What about that other 5%?
Yeah.
Well, how do you handle that?
Yeah. The other 5% was where, where it went to Mechanical Turk. So I guess it originally was lit off on the 22nd of November by Gary Pendergast. He said he was browsing through Expensify's jobs on MTurk, found boarding passes, hotel receipts, medical receipts, addresses, signatures, and a whole lot of burgers and burritos. Said he just turned off Smart Scan because that's super creepy. He said the company put in a blog post they were scanning a new private Smart Scan feature that allowed companies to staff their own team with Mechanical Turk subscribers and started testing that on September 20th. So they've been doing this for about 2 months now.
Okay.
They said they were processing 10% of non-paying user receipts that require human review on Turk, but access was still limited to own SmartScan agents. And then they opened it up to all vetted Turk workers on November 22nd. I don't know what a vetted Turk worker is. I assume it just means they have a Turk account and they were able to
have a verified email address.
A verified email address on Amazon. Yeah. It says Turk workers are thoroughly vetted by Amazon, and Barrett says during the 24 hours, hundreds of receipts from 3 users were open to all Turk workers compared to routine millions it usually handles. So they're saying like only a small fraction of the millions that they handle, had that happen. But I think this is a good, you said that, well, would a review have caught that? I think we get enough emails from vendors about all of our brand new, exciting new offerings or whatever. I would think that something like this would show up in a SOC document or, some kind of audit thing where you'd have to ask that, questions about, do you outsource any of your work to third parties? Or, these are generic questions you should be asking. Hey, what's happened? What's different from the last time we did an audit with you? Have you started outsourcing any of your services to third parties? You should have maybe a generic questionnaire like we do. We do generic questionnaires from customers, but likewise, we also have a questionnaire we send out to our potential vendors about, do they do vulnerability manager? Do they have pen tests? What's their password requirements? What do they contract with third parties? Where's our data located? What kind of data are we going to be collecting? That kind of stuff. And then, don't give them the same, give them the same questionnaire or look and see if the questionnaires match or if they're different from between, last year to the next year. And I think that would have been caught if people were doing due diligence and looking at those things. I'd like to think so.
Yeah.
So, new features, privacy requirements might change. Expensify may not be the only company doing this. So if you go, well, I don't want to use Expensify anymore, it's an awful company. Their competitors are probably doing the same thing. It's just, right. You may not even be reading the privacy requirements and say, yeah, we're going to, skim all this data off and send it to third parties anyway. So yeah, that was kind of a scary little bit there. So, any thoughts or questions, suggestions before we move along?
No.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's important for you to look at all your third parties because you're going to get looked at that too. Because if you're having to put out a SOC 2 or something, you're going to have your customers asking you about your third parties. So you need to ask your third parties about their third parties and so on and so on and so on. So,
are there any templates out there for questionnaires like that that you found?
You can make your own. There's one called a SIG, which I think was created by companies. SIG questionnaire. I think it was created by a bank or financial firm. So it's a shared assessments standard information gathering template. You can go look it up, SIG questionnaire on Google, and there's a spreadsheet there. I don't know if it's free or not, but there apparently is one online. It's an XLSM file. Interesting. Somebody posted it looks like it might be for a college. Interesting. Maybe I don't want to be looking at that. Looks like there's several
it's on the internet.
Well, there's a couple of XLSM files about shared assessments questionnaires that people have put out online.
I love looking at that stuff.
We consider our SIG to be business sensitive only because it is, because it's got information about our company and stuff.
Right.
So this one looks like it's from a college. So that's awesome. Great. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, you can do that, or you can make your own, or you can take the ISO standards, ISO 27002, the 27000 standards, and put those in a questionnaire form and send those out to see how they match up. It just really depends on what you think is important. A lot of those I've seen, it's like, I don't need to answer this question because it doesn't have anything to do with the product you're getting from us. And they're like, oh, well, just put something in there. I'm like, okay, not applicable.
Right.
Yeah. So, it really depends. So, all right. Well, the other story that I wanted to talk about, and this one hit us because I actually saw it on Twitter and then I posted it up to our internal messaging system. the passwordless root from Apple, which have you updated yet, Miss Berlin? Are you using a Mac?
By the time this podcast comes out, yes.
Oh, no. Well, okay. Well, the good news is
I have so much stuff open. I didn't want to.
Oh, don't worry. If you go into your app store, the security patch that they released today, 29 November, does not require a reboot. No, it does not.
All right. And maybe I did.
Did you? Anyway, no.
I don't remember. It's been a long day.
So there was a tweet that I'm still aghast by the fact that my best threat intelligence comes from Twitter. I just happen to be I just happened to be on my tweet deck, and I saw this guy Lemmy Oren Ergen. He's at LEMIORHAN. He's like, "Dear Apple, we noticed a huge security issue at Mac OS High Sierra. Anyone can log in as root with an empty password after clicking on login button several times. Are you aware of it?" And he put in the screenshots when you go into the control panel, and you go down to users and groups, and you go to log in and change the system preferences. It'll ask you for a username and a password. You can put in root with no password, and after 2 clicks of unlock, it will automatically unlock you.
Right.
Well, at that point, I was poking around. I was like, well, if you can do it this way, can you do it from the login screen? So I logged myself out of my work computer because I hadn't updated I had not updated High Sierra on my work box, and it didn't work on 10.12, but it did work on 10.13, which was my personal box. I was able to go to the other and go to root and put no password in. I was able to log in as root. And I was like, oh my God, this is awful. So I sent this tweet to my boss, and he was like, "Oh, we got to roll some fixes on this." And I was like, "Well, you just open up the terminal, pass WD root, change root's password, be done with it."
Right.
And he's like, "Oh, cool. Write something up and send that out to everybody." And I was like, I was like, "Do you really want people who probably don't even know that Macs have a terminal to be playing around on the command line?"
No.
And well, he took a few more seconds before he actually said no. Thankfully for us, we have something that pushes out patches and policy updates on our some of our Mac boxes. We have something for the Windows as well in the Linux. But I was able to contact IT and go, "Hey, this is a problem. We need to push out something. Can you change root's password?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, no problem." So we had it fixed within about an hour, so it's not a problem. But there's still a lot of companies out there that don't have anything that can do that on a mass scale.
Right. Especially for Macs.
Yeah, there's only a handful of things. I think there's something called Jamf, JAMF.
Right.
There's, Jamf. Yeah, Mac, iPad, iPhone, and Apple TV management. So it's an enterprise management software. That seemed to be fairly popular when I was looking around. I think you can also use open source tools, some of them, but I think they require like SSH access to the box. The good thing is it didn't work for SSH. So if you have SSH running on your MacBook, because OpenSSH doesn't allow blank passwords for logins, you're pretty much safe on the SSH route. But remote services like Apple Remote Tools, screen sharing, VNC, or file shares can be accessed with the root user and no password. And even if you disable it, the minute you invoke the root password, it automatically enables, or you invoke the root user, it'll automatically re-enable that user.
Oh.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's great.
That's great.
Yay. So, yeah, the only way you can do it is actually re-enable the user and then put a password in for root. So, and they did something today on the 29th of November, that's when we're recording this, that fixed it differently than the workaround that came out. But yeah, it was pretty nasty. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah. See, that's the problem though. If you don't have something that can fix it in an hour by pushing out an update, especially on things like Macs, I mean, that you would think that would have made it into the QA testing test cycle. Maybe during UAT, user acceptance testing, that would have been something that might be tested for. If it isn't, I hope it is. I'm
sure they already have a process in place, or at least I would hope so, at a place like Apple. when something like this slips through.
I seem to remember
that they go and figure out how and why and who and what process failed.
Yeah, slap around whoever did it. I seem to remember about a decade or so ago, they had iPhones. I want to say like iPhone 3 or 4 or something like that, had a root user or something that didn't have a password on it and allowed people to be able to SSH into it. But I don't remember if that was something, but I do remember having people talking about having to go in and manually changing the root password on their phones a long time ago. So, but yeah, it's just not been a good week for security in general. I think it's rough, man. Because I mean, you had to drop everything to fix this thing, even though, technically you needed to have root access, or you need to have physical access to the box, or, remote access. So, I mean, if you've got a user who's using remote desktop in their environment and didn't make those changes, I mean, yeah, it's just not good. I mean, that's something that needed to be fixed. So,
well, they have it fixed now. So as long as everybody applies the patch.
Yes, please patch your stuff, please. So yeah. I don't know. You got anything else you want to talk about? Oh, wait. Before we go, there was a second page to the notes. So apparently this rootless password thing was discovered 2 weeks ago by another guy on the Apple developer forums.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He posted up a fix because some guy was having an issue in High Sierra, and his post says, "Oh yeah, here, try this. It's specific to High Sierra. On setup, click on other, enter username root, and leave password empty. Press enter twice. Now you're able to log in. Hooray, you're admin now. Head over to system preferences, user groups, and create a new admin account." If you scroll down in the forum, and the link is in the show notes, he said, "Oh, I didn't know this was a security issue. Hey guys, didn't realize this was a full-blown security issue. I'd messed my login credentials trying to change my Apple ID, and voila, I was no longer an admin. Then began my extensive search on all Apple-related forums." So he's like, as to how I stumbled on this, he's like, pure frustration. So he found it somewhere else himself.
Just like banging on the enter key.
Yeah, he's like, I tried it again, and voila, the effing thing opened, locked, and unlocked my account. And we're like, so I was like, how do you not know this is not a security issue? Do you just have that much blind trust in a company to go, oh yeah, it's probably okay for Telnet?
That seems normal.
Yeah, Telnet should always be enabled on a box with no password. Yeah, why not? And it just kills me because this is supposed to be the Apple developer forum. I don't know if this is some schmuck off the street or what have you, but is schmuck a bad word? Can I say schmuck?
I think you could say schmuck.
Okay,
That's not a bad word.
If it isn't, somebody please email me so that I can...
Rhymes with a bad word.
Bleep. What's that?
It rhymes with a bad word.
Oh, it does, don't it?
It does.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, I'm just surprised at how some of the, maybe this guy, I don't know how he didn't think that this was not an issue, not a security issue. Anyway, so
some people's minds aren't just that. It just wouldn't come mind, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
I can imagine that, though, happening with a lot of people.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, yeah, it just kills me. So, all right. Well, I guess I live in the land of flaky internet tonight. So I think we've got our point across. Get in tomorrow if you haven't already, and get your users' MacBooks changed. Enable that root password, or by God, just make everybody download that update and get that done. And also, if you are using Expensify, maybe you look at getting rid of the smart scan thing, or, doing a third-party review and making sure that...
Use Excel.
Use Excel, yeah.
Use Excel and Google Photos like I do.
There you go. I worked at a defense contractor, and they wouldn't take photos of receipts. You had to bring in the paper receipt, and I am not one to... I actually go, no, don't give me the receipt. I don't want to waste a tree, and I'm on travel, and it's like, where's all your receipts? And I'm like, I got them in photos, and they're like, yeah, they don't work. So I was like, okay, so if I go print them out, they're on paper technically, so I'm good, right? No, we need the original sheet.
What?
Yeah, it was a defense contractor, and this was about 5 years ago, so hopefully they've gotten better, but
yeah.
So
I'd lose them. Like, I would be out so much money.
Hell yeah, me too. I'd be like, oh yeah.
They just end up crumpled in a pocket somewhere, even because personally, I never get receipts.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah.
So when traveling, it takes everything that I have to remember to get one, let alone keep it.
Yeah, and it's getting worse because you have contactless payment.
Yeah.
You know, so you're like bloop on a phone.
Like tap your phone and then you walk away.
Tap and go, and it's like I don't have a receipt, you know, or
send you my credit card bill.
Yeah, that's what I ended up having to do. I had to send them like a credit card bill redacted with all the other, you know, House of Sweat, you know, receipt.
Yeah, I had to do that once.
Missing. Yeah.
That wasn't fun.
Yeah, that was not fun at all. So. All right. Well, I think we need to get out of here for the night. Like I said, I miss Mr. Boettcher. He couldn't make it like 3 weeks in a row. He's getting a nice vacation, but we're gonna get him next week. So,
better be
Miss
feeling
Berlin,
better by then.
if you're available for additional appearances somewhere, how would people go about getting you to come and fly out to some exotic location?
Anybody listening, if you want to fly me out anywhere, I'm willing to go most places.
Wow, it must be nice to be in such demand like that. So
I'm waiting for Shaka Khan.
Oh, that would be nice. That would be nice.
But InfoSystir, INFOSYSTIR, on our BreakSec Slack channel. Which, did you tell everybody that we have the domain now? Or you have the domain now?
Well, yeah, very foolishly, I did not buy breaksec.com. I bought breakingsecurity.com, and that was available. It didn't even occur to me to do breaksec.com, and thankfully it wasn't taken. So I'm actually using it as part of our personalized.
I totally should have bought it and forwarded it somewhere.
You're a domain squatter. It'd been in freaking Russia or something.
Right.
Bastard. Anyway.
Just a Bitcoin link.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would have been awful. No, so I mean, yeah, we're using it for Bitly now to make custom Bitly links. So if you want to join our Slack channel, we got a lot of people on there, a lot of good conversations about anything.
I actually met someone in New Zealand that was in our Slack channel.
Shut up. Who?
Yeah, I can't remember his handle.
Was it Chris? Was it Chris?
But he's like, yeah, I'm in your Slack channel. I've not really listened to the podcast yet. Oh. I'm in the Slack channel, and it is the most active Slack channel that I'm a member of.
Woo!
I was very happy about that.
Yeah. So if you want to join us, it's breaksec.com/breaksec. It's not hard. BRAKESEC .com/BRAKESEC. There's other ones in our show notes for our RSS feed, iTunes, Google Play Store, TuneIn Radio.
You made us a custom link for our book.
Yep. Oh yeah. There's a custom link for your defensive security handbook.
Yeah.
That's nice. It's got more hits on our Bitly than anything else. Weird.
We only tweeted it out once. I'm gonna go retweet that.
Oh, well, you could at least finish the show before you go and like.
Nope.
Oh, you're multitasking is what you're saying.
Yep, I have three screens. Of course I'm multitasking.
Oh, well, I have 1.5. Anyway, so we're actually trying to get on Spotify. I was told to wait until about the 1st of December for that, and once that happens, we'll be on Spotify as well. So I'll be hitting the big time. What?
Nice.
Yeah, no joke. So, we're on iTunes. If you, we have a Patreon. If you find value in everything that you hear or see on our Slack or with our trainings that we're doing, we actually are just finishing up a training with Tyler Hudak on reverse engineering this week. We probably won't do any more trainings until after the first of the year, but I've definitely got about 2 or 3 people who are interested in doing so. So there'll be some breaks.
I'm going to try and do mine.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So 4, we have 4 now. So just get up on there on our Patreon and leave us a tip if you think you found some value in tonight's podcast or any of our other stuff that we're doing. So so for people in the Seattle area, Seattle, Bellevue, Renton, Redmond, that area. I am becoming a Sans mentor. And,
yay!
Oh, okay. I have to do
I figured you need a cheering section. You can't hear all the people on the podcast clapping.
What's the sound of one person clapping? Ding. Anyway, so I need people to come to my class because,
yes.
I'm teaching.
Will you pay for me to come out there?
Well, it's actually over 7. It's actually over 7 weeks. So it's like
holy crap,
1 day a week for 7 weeks.
Oh, never mind.
3 hours every night. But there's a link in the show notes to where you can go to sign up for the class. And if you did, please tell them that I brought you. The only thing is I can't do it online. I was like, hey, can we do it over a Zoom or something like that? Like, no, you have to have an ass in a seat. And I'm like, all right, fine. So if you're in the Seattle, Bellevue, Renton, Redmond area, I'm looking for at least 3 people to come and do the class. If you've got 2 or 3 people who want to do it with you, you actually get a 3-for-2 thing. So if 3 people sign up, you only have to pay for 2 people. So 1 person's free. Or, there's 10% off if you're part of ISSA or ISACA or something like that in the area. I think they also give discounts for veterans. So it'll be Security 504, which is incident handling. I passed that one. So they let me... I just have to pass a murder board, which I've heard is murderousness, according to Mick Douglas. So if you're interested in that, there's a link in the show notes to that. It starts March 1st and we'll go through like mid-April or so. So I'm trying to do Thursday nights in a specific location. So I'll be mentioning it more after this, but check that out, please. Mr. Boettcher, you can find him on Twitter at BoettcherPwned, BoettcherPwned. Breaksec Twitter is at Breaksec, BRAKESEC. And you can follow me on Twitter at BryanBrake, BRYANBRAKE. So that was it for the night. Mr. Boettcher and everybody will be back at full strength next week. And from the world headquarters here in Seattle, this has been Breaking Down Security this week. Have a good week. Please be nice to one another, and we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye, everybody.